Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to create a frequency table using data that we've collected. So what you'll notice for today's activity is that there are two questions that came directly from the survey that you guys completed in class on Monday. And we've taken those responses, and now you're going to use those responses to try to better understand how many pets students in our class have, how many hours of sleep students get on weeknights, and how many hours of TV are spent each week watching TV by our classmates. So our first question centers around the number of pets, and we want to create a frequency table so that we can better understand how many pets students in our class have. So at the top you'll see there's a list of data points, okay? Those are all responses that students gave in our class. And what we're going to do is start by just making a tally for each number that we see, okay? So for instance, number 15, there's one student who has 15, so I put a tally mark there, and I'm going to cross that out. Next I see there's a student who said 1, so I'll put that in and cross that out. 7, 4, 11, which I just realized we don't seem to have a row for, so I'm going to extend my table a little bit and put a tally mark in there. 0, there's a 6, 2 2s, a 3, a 5, another 0, another 3, another 2, another 0, another 2, a 3, and 2 more 2s. Okay. Now to complete the frequency, okay, the frequency means how many we see, okay, how many of each data response we see. So the number of students that responded that they have no pets is 3, so in frequency we're going to write 3. There's one student who said that they have only 1 pet, so we'll say 1. There are 6 students who said they have 2 pets, 3 students who said they have 3 pets, 1 student who said 4, 1 who said 5, 1 that said 6, 1 that said 7, 1 that said 15, and 1 that said 11. Alright, so the next part of our data analysis is going to be calculating the mean, the median, and the mode, and the range. And I've written these as 2 separate questions because I think it's very important that you think of these as separate things, okay? Mean, median, and mode are measures of center, okay? Figuring out where the middle of the data is. In other words, if we came upon a random student, where might we expect them to fall within this data range? How many pets would we expect them to have? The range of the data is a measure of spread, okay? It's how spread out our data is, okay? If we have a very large range, that means that we've got some students who have very few pets and some students who have a lot of pets. Whereas if we have a smaller range, that means that all of our students have about the same number of pets. Okay, so for mean, median, and mode, we're going to, let's start with the mode because it's the easiest, okay? Remember, the mode is the data point that we see occurring most frequently. In other words, it's the one that back in our data table, in our frequency table, has the highest frequency. Well, you'll notice that is definitely 2 because it has a frequency of 6, which is quite a bit more than any of the other data points. All right. Next is going to be the mean. Okay, the mean is the average, meaning we need to add all of these data points up and divide by how many data points we have. Okay, so pause the video for a minute, and you may use a calculator to add all of these up. Make sure that you do not miss any data points when you add them together. Okay, now when you add all of these up, you should get 70. And when you take 70 and you divide by how many data points we have, which is 19, you will get, let me make sure that I have the correct answer, and it is 3.68. Okay, so our mean is 3.68, and our median, for our median, remember we need to start by putting these numbers in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to start with my smallest responses, which was 0, and I had 3 zeros. I'm going to cross those out. I had 1 1. I had 6 2s. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. I had 3 3s. I had a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, an 11, and a 15. And that is all my data points. So now what I can do to find the middle is just start crossing off numbers from the outside and work my way to the inside. And eventually we come upon our middle number, which happens to be 2. So our median is 2, and our mode is 2, but our mean is 3.68. Now I want you to think about looking at this data set, see if you can figure out why the mean might be so much higher than the median and the mode. All right, and the range is going to be the difference between the highest number and the smallest number, okay? The highest number in our data set, the most number of pets students from this group had was 15, and 15 minus 0, which is the smallest number, gives us 15. So in this data set, we have a range of 15. All right, and for the last question, we are basically going to look at the number of, look at the responses that we have and see if we can make sense of what we've looked at. So the first thing I want to point out is that range of 15, okay? We had a range of 15, which is a pretty large range, okay? It means that we've got a few students who have very, very few pets and a few students who have a lot of pets, okay? I think that's unique to where we live, where we've got a lot of people that live in neighborhoods and some people that live on farms too. So there are a few people who have quite a few more pets than anybody else. So that's something that you can make note of, okay? A large range, and you want to write down that means that there's more, there are some students who have a lot of pets and some that have very few, okay? You also want to note that the mean is larger than the median or the mode, okay? And when that happens, usually that means we have an outlier, okay? We have data points that are far higher than any of our other data points, and those would be 15 and 11. So the students that said that they have 15 pets and 11 pets have quite a few more pets than anybody else in our class, meaning that they have made the mean be calculated as a larger number than the median or the mode. So in this case, we would say that the mean is less reliable of a measure of center than the median or the mode because it was so affected by the outliers. The other thing we might sort of conclude with is that the typical student has about 2 or 3 pets. In this class, okay? And we see that, we can anticipate that based on the measures of center. And that was the mean, the median, and the mode. Okay, so now that I've gone through each of these steps with you, I want you guys to try on your own, see if you can figure out how to make a frequency table for the number of hours of TV watched in a week.